Yes, I'm making this video on Wednesday, the 18th of June, and yesterday, the 17th of June, the Armed Services Committee held a long hearing, all-day hearing on the torture, the approval of the torture or, well, enhanced interrogation techniques that were used by the Defense Department, the Pentagon, at Gitmo, and then and I guess a discussion also about how these techniques migrated all across to Afghanistan and Abu Ghraib and Iraq, probably other places besides Iraq, and these same techniques appear, exact same techniques appear all over the place. So how did this occur? Well, and the Armed Services Committee was looking into where did this policy originate and who was involved in it. And I have to say I was impressed how the questioning was very forceful and detailed. The Armed Services Committee, let me just mention that Senator Levin is on the Armed Services Committee, Senator Jack Reed on the Armed Services Committee, Claire McCaskill, and Lindsey Graham. Now, Levin and McCaskill and Lindsey Graham are all lawyers. Jack Reed is a graduate of West Point. They all were questioning. They had 3 panels of witnesses. They had the Defense Department people who had originally discussed various, what would you call it, coercive techniques. These were defense Pentagon people who actually, these are training for American soldiers against, if they're captured, how do they cope with, let's say, another country using abusive questioning or interrogation techniques. And this is called SEER, survival, evasion, something, I can't remember, it's SERE, SEER training, and they actually waterboard, they put the Navy SEALs, some of these Navy SEALs go through this, what would you call it, a test run of waterboarding to see how they react and how they cope, etc. Well, the Pentagon decided what they call reverse engineer this program. They took a program which was to train American soldiers to withstand questioning like this and said, well, maybe we should use this in questioning these techniques, that SEER techniques. Why don't we use them they call it offensive, use it against captured terrorists, suspected terrorists. So this hearing, I recommend, if you can get through a lot of it, and hopefully somebody will edit this down. Some of the questions were very sharp questioning. They had the top Defense Department lawyer. They went through 3 panels. The last person to testify was the top Defense Department lawyer who approved several of these memos that went up to Rumsfeld. And, of course, from Rumsfeld they went to Gitmo. And this was all in 2002, late 2002, January 2003. And it's a strange process and a kind of a sloppy process, if you ask me. It was hasty. It was not done. It was kind of done semi-secretly. One fellow threatened to go to the press if this stuff was approved. Then they scaled it back. So I recommend, if you want to see the entire hearing, It's at C-SPAN, and you go to capitolhearings.org or go to cspanvideo.org and then go to hearings, or I think it's called congressional hearings, and you'll get it. You get the entire. I think it's 6 hours. It started at 10 a.m. in the morning. It lasted till 5 p.m. The last guy to appear is Jim Haynes, and frankly, his testimony looked very weak. He said he couldn't remember this, he couldn't remember that. It was a long time ago. He gets lots of memos that come across his desk, and he didn't remember this memo. He didn't remember that. He wasn't quite sure this. I have a picture of Jim Haynes is coming up. He was the last person. There he is, Jim Haynes, the top Defense Department lawyer. By the way, it was revealed there were 10,000 lawyers hired by the Defense Department, and they asked 2 or 3 lawyers to look into this. One lawyer for sure wrote a memo, and then she almost disclaimed. She said, "I had no idea that my would be the main foundation for this new policy." There he is. That's Jim Haynes, top Defense Department lawyer, has 10,000 lawyers below him in the Pentagon. And then there's a question whether the vice president was. Oh, and let me tell you, before I hang up, before I get done, the Judiciary Committee Thursday will question David Addington, the counsel for the vice president, on the same issue of who approved these techniques and what was his involvement in the Pentagon. And they will also question John Yoo, who was in the Office of Legal Counsel, which is in the Justice Department, and he gave the torture. He was also involved in the quote-unquote torture memo, which said something about these techniques are quaint or something. So that'll be coming up Thursday. So that should be at the Judiciary Committee in the House. That should be interesting as well. All right, signing off.